This is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers as they look to add a new weapon to their offense. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to a star AFC running back that could change their offense for the long run. My name is Peyton Kleppe, and on today's episode of Steelers Digest, we'll be breaking down the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news. Before we get into it, though, just click that subscribe button down below if you guys have not already. 91% of our current viewers are not currently subscribed. So if you click that subscribe button, we're going to get you guys the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news regarding trades, free agency, anything Steelers related. We will make a video daily about it. Let's get right into the latest reports. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to J.K. Dobbins after failing to re-sign Najee Harris in free agency. Najee Harris decided to go to the LA Chargers, and the Steelers could look to swap running backs with the Chargers and pick up J.K. Dobbins. Dave Francesa linked the Steelers as a landing spot for the former Baltimore Ravens and Chargers running back in free agency. The Steelers are familiar with J.K. Dobbins. In the 2020 draft, or it's 2020, I believe. Yep. We had a second-round pick, and we drafted Chase Claypool. But another guy who we were looking to get was J.K. Dobbins because our running back room was really, it wasn't too strong at the time. We had James Conner, and at the time he wasn't playing too well. Our offensive line was not too great back then. Really hasn't improved much since then. But, we were looking to upgrade at running back, and J.K. Dobbins was a guy coming out of Ohio State that a lot of Steelers fans really wanted and really liked. But, he ended up going to Baltimore. So, he had a great time in Baltimore, but a significant portion of his career and time in Baltimore was spent on the injured reserve list. This guy has dealt with a lot of injuries in his career, but when he's on the field, he's electric. He's a great player, and he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He's a great and shifty player. At the beginning of the year this year, there was a ton of highlights coming out of J.K. Dobbins. He was one of the top 5 rushers for a few weeks. This guy was breaking off, 60-yard runs here and there. And it was looking really good for the Chargers offense under the new coach, the new Harbaugh. He got his old Harbaugh's running backs with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And both guys kind of had a great year last year. I really thought the Chargers were going to bring this guy back. J.K. Dobbins, I believe, was probably, or he should have been in the race for comeback player of the year. Like I said, this guy was coming off of like a torn ACL or torn Achilles. He had a lot of injuries at the beginning of his career in Baltimore. He had 1 or 2 seasons where he was healthy and he put up some yards. I believe he had 700 or 800 rushing yards 1 or 2 years in Baltimore. He looked really good with them, with the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson. But under LA, he had around 700 or 800 rushing yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns. But, like I said, his career has really been derailed by injuries. He's managed to have a bounce back year, though, last year, like I said. And he had career best in rushing yards and receiving yards, and he scored 9 touchdowns. He had 905 rushing yards, and he had 153 rushing yards. So getting a guy like Dobbins, we could probably get him for a cheaper deal as well. And he's a guy that he's proven number 1 when healthy. And we signed Kenneth Gainwell to be our number 2. And Jaylen Warren's a guy that he could be our number 1 next year. We really do not know. He's kind of a wild card piece where he's been our number 2 for the past couple of years, but he really hasn't had a real opportunity to shine. So, if we give him that number 1 running back spot, he could go off and we could see a career year from Jaylen Warren. He could have over 1,000 yards rushing. I could see it if he stays healthy. But, we could also bring in a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who's been a proven pro, a proven starter, and take over that number 1 running back position if we look to draft a quarterback in the early rounds with all signs looking like that will be indeed what will happen. Aaron Rodgers visited our facility yesterday for 6 hours, and he still hasn't signed. So we probably will go quarterback in the early rounds. But anyways, going back to Dobbins. Dobbins is a great player, and I think he would really thrive in Pittsburgh. We're looking to have a great running game next year. I really believe in our offense, and I think our O-line, with everybody healthy and all the developmental guys who are in place, if we get some depth, I think we can have a really strong year, especially in the rushing and the running game. Like I said, Jaylen Warren's a beast, and adding a guy like J.K. Dobbins, it's going to be crazier. It's going to be a 1-2 punch three guys we got, actually. Adding Dobbins, another running back to whoever we got, it's going to be a wrecking crew because I really think if our offensive line can really hold up, I believe in Arthur Smith, and I believe that our offense is going to be a lot better next year, especially acquiring a guy like DK Metcalf. He's going to open up our offense totally more than before. We only had Calvin Austin really at that number 2 spot, Van Jefferson. So he's not really a threat. So now that we got DK Metcalf on offense, cornerbacks are going to have to double up him or GP. Safeties are going to have to double cover them, and defenses are really going to have to cover us differently. So our rushing game should improve next year if all signs are right and everything goes well. So bringing in a guy like J.K. Dobbins, we play a style of football like the Ravens. The Ravens have kind of copied us and been, copying us the past since their franchise started. They're the little brother. So bringing him into Pittsburgh, I feel like he'd be a perfect fit. I feel like he would love it in Pittsburgh. I feel like he'd love playing under head coach Mike Tomlin. And whatever quarterback's going to love this guy as well. Like I said, he's a great catcher out of the backfield. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. So I'm really in favor of this guy, and I'd love to see if Omar Khan can get a deal done in the next couple days as free agency begins to progress and the draft starts to come up. Draft is getting closer every single day. But another thing to note about J.K. Dobbins is, like I said, his injury history. Even his best year healthy, he did miss 4 games. That was last year. He missed 4 games last year at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, this guy was going off. Like I said, he was top 5 in rushing in the probably first 5-6 games of the season. But then he started dealing with some injuries. I believe it was like a knee or ankle injury, which is never good, especially that soft tissue stuff. Never good to hear that, especially after the guy came after probably like 2 or 3 surgeries because he tore his ACL at least once or twice in Baltimore. So this signing probably would be a high risk in that aspect. But Dobbins is projected to receive a 2-year, $8.1 million deal in free agency. So I believe the Steelers would be willing to give that to Dobbins if they believe he is their guy. Because like I said, we could draft a running back in the draft coming up. There's a lot of great running backs in the draft coming up. So we could look to get one of those. Or if Coach T and Omar think, hey, we want Dobbins, we liked what we saw last year, he can change our offense, they can bring him in and he can go off. But they do not suggest that the Steelers should believe that Dobbins is their long-term solution in that article. I disagree. I believe that this guy could be at least a 3-4 year starter, but we will have to see. I think Jaylen Warren also deserves a shot. Jaylen Warren's been a potential starter the last couple years. Najee Harris, he's really not missed a game when he was in Pittsburgh, so Jaylen Warren didn't get too many opportunities, but when he did play, this guy really showed off his skills, and I think next year he's going to have a lot of success. But we'll have to wait and see. A lot of news should be coming out soon, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully some more news will come out soon, and hopefully some more running back news will come out. That is all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much. If you guys have not subscribed already, click that subscribe button down below. Thank you so much. Go